Hi everyone, my name is Yasna and I'd like to give you a little update about my project related to the Landlord and Tenant Board. First, a bit of a background about the LTB. The Landlord and Tenant Dispute Resolution went through a major change in 1998, creating the current model that we have today. There have been some administrative changes to the way that the tribunal functions and how it's organized, but the method of dispute resolution, which is, pardon me, using legal arguments and the interpretation of housing legislation to argue a case hasn't changed. As you can probably imagine, this doesn't really serve to address the inherent inequality in the housing system. And my hypothesis right now is that the LTB has been created really to manage the failures of the housing system. Yes, cat. Sorry, cat commercial. Um, so I got into this because I wanted to see how many other people had a similar bad experience to me with a landlord who had a wonderful rating on RentSafeTO. And I went down a rabbit hole looking for more depth beyond what is available via Toronto Open Data. I got started with the Canley dispute resolution and order data, which Mihail has taken over downloading. And I got into the 27 years of the LTB annual reports by hand, the power of hyperfocus, and went from this to this. And then right now, what I have is the annual report data, and I've started to gather the Tribunals of Ontario open data. And this is largely finished, and right now I'm at the point of creating charts and doing some written analyses. Um, and I've built a dashboard that contains all of the rough data, and I'm now working on adding the average days from hearing to order to the dashboard. And there's some location data in here, which means that whenever a landlord applies for rent above guideline increases, it's possible to link that to an actual location. So that's a potentially interesting area that we can get into if anyone is interested, but we need to be careful with how location data is published. Goals. The moonshot goal is to somehow make housing more affordable. And the key question is, how can we make it possible for legislators to take action on what is already known and published about the housing system? Sort of a low Earth orbit goal would be to reflect the LTB and the changes that they've undergone to them back as an institution, because they do have, I hope, some discretion in how they function. So, for example, do they know that reducing the friction in the number of applications that arrive to them via e-file actually creates more of a backlog for them, and what can they do to manage their workload? A more achievable sort of flight level of goals is actually a service design goal, which is rooted in the fact that the LTB is actually really hard to navigate. And the reality of representing yourself only reinforces the inequality between one-time entrants like the tenants and regular actors like paralegals and landlords and so on. If you'd like to get involved, if any of this sounds interesting, the project is turning into a multi-headed hydra. There's still a lot of things that I would like to address with this. Please reach out to me via Slack if you'd like to get involved. Take a look at the project on GitHub, and thank you so much for your attention.
Hi everyone, I'm Sanal. I'll give some updates on BikeSpace. For those who are new to BikeSpace, BikeSpace is an online tool to help gather evidence on issues related to bike parking around the city, but we kind of expanded to create more tools around it. So yeah, next slide. Yeah. So last time we were here, we introduced a new map, a map that shows you all the available bike parking around the city. Since then, we have another new map. It's called the level of traffic stress map. It's a map that visualizes how it's a rating given to a road, indicating the traffic stress it imposes on cyclists. And it ranges from 1 to 4. 1 being very safe, suitable for children, and 4 being, oh my God, I might die. So it's categorized into those 4 levels. We built this on top of the work done by Madeline Bosma Fisher. She was a speaker, I think, in 2025 winter, and we have it available on our website. If you go to bikespace.ca, you'll find the new level of traffic stress map. We've included coverage for the entire GTA area, so not just isolated to Toronto. Beyond that, we've been implementing all the user feedback that we have gotten. Every year, we try to do a user research session, uh, show the app to people, gather feedback, and improve it. Uh, and what we're seeking help on is on the UI UX side. We have plans to implement a design system. So if you are a UI UX person, design person, please reach out to us. We mostly operate on Slack. Our channel name is Proj-Bike Parking. And next slide. And yeah, summer's kind of slow for us. We'll be outside riding our bikes quite a bit. So, but we still operate on Slack. So yeah, please reach out. Thanks.
So that was incredibly efficient, and I think the reward is that you will get a UI UX designer tonight. Okay, and next we love to welcome Adam and Kasir.
Okay, well, we'll be sharing the mic, so I'm going to use this one. But hi, guys. This is an update on Technologists for Democracy, a very small efforts that started off as a call to action on a pilot initially from last year, and now has been growing to a few volunteers and still technologists and now filmmakers and people of various backgrounds, which has resulted in a few cool events and efforts. So without further ado, let's get on with the updates.
Cool. Yeah, so we're Technologists for Democracy. If you haven't heard of us, what we do is we advocate for responsible use of technology in the public realm, whether that means corporations using technology or even government agencies. And so this is like a list of all the things we've worked on. The Magna pilot, you can learn more about that in a talk that I gave at Civic Tech last year, where we pushed back against Magna recording everyone's faces. Maybe you can talk about the Cineplex Digital Media one.
Yes, Cineplex Digital Media, that was a campaign that was born out of a viral Reddit post on a bunch of creepy billboards that were installed around Union Station and turns out the path. And so we got on it and we got some media attention about it, and it caused a little bit of a stir around the people who are very excited about these topics. And it also helped us gather more people who are excited about privacy specifically.
Yeah, and maybe I can talk about some of the pictures there too. So the one on the top left, that's a poster for the film club that we ran recently for a film called The End of the Internet. It was more of like a fun thing. We watched a movie about decentralized communities around the world building their own infrastructure, network infrastructure, and a bit of a discussion with the director afterwards. And you can see Shasha, who's a TfD member and also a film director, in the second image, along with the director of The End of the Internet, Dylan Reibling, on the second photo there. Maybe you can talk about the walk that we did.
Yeah, so we hosted a Jane's Walk. We called it cleverly the surveillance stroll, and it was about the privacy violating billboards and around those areas, and we did it in front of Union Station. You can see we got a big crowd here. Then yeah, in front of the Bull, And then we had a little team picture, which was very neat. Some other pictures we had about the people's consultation on AI.
Yeah, so the people's consultation on AI, that's the bottom images. So the group photo is everyone who participated in it. And then there's the cover of the report that we came out with in collaboration with the Tech Workers Coalition based on the people's consultation that we did. Yeah, and then the last photo that hasn't been mentioned yet is me and Gurpreet talking at Civic Tech Brampton about TfD.
Yeah, and so we wrote about on Tech Briefs to explain all the different technologies that we're advocating about in simple terms. We grew our newsletter to 84 confirmed subs and still growing. And that's thanks to volunteers like Marv and Nelson, who are doing all the, for example, the media work for graphics, and then Marv helping with the newsletter. Social media, we've got Jérôme on Mastodon, and a bunch of other volunteers as well on LinkedIn and Blue Sky and so on. Gurpreet worked on a privacy playbook, on AI playbook. We had Yitka work on a privacy toolkit. I'm trying to lead an action against Waymo, trying to come to Ontario. Kassir also is looking into Flock, trying to enter Toronto specifically. And we're also looking into the different bills that are trying to get through the federal government on privacy and AI. And yeah, lots and lots of outreach. And I hope a lot more to come. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you can find us in our website, techfordemocracy.ca. You can sign up to our newsletter. It's really cool. We keep it freshly updated. And then you can follow us on all our different socials. And we're very active on those, and we hope to see you there. Yep. Thank you very much.
Super strong year of activism. And last but not least, I would like to welcome Tina and Ilya for Civic Dashboard.
Quick show of hands. Who is Civic Dashboard new to? Who is hearing about Civic Dashboard for the first time in this room? Okay, a few folks. Awesome, welcome. So in a nutshell, Civic Dashboard is an effort to make Toronto's City Council as accessible as possible. We say every day that we pitch here that we believe that it should not take a political science degree and 3 hours. It should take 3 minutes, basic literacy, and an internet connection to understand how your council works. Fundamental theory of change behind it is that we think that the likelihood of behavior is equal to your motivation times the ability times the prompt to do the behavior. And that most of the time when we're talking about democracy, we focus on motivation. We focus on telling people exactly how important it is. And with every other technology, we focus on making it easier to use. And so we would like to make our local democracy as easy to use as possible. And we believe that if we do that, then many already civically passionate people will be able to more meaningfully engage with our democracy. Functionally, what that means at civicdashboard.ca is that we have resources to help you understand how council works, both like in general and in specific points. We have a little wiki. We have pages for each of the councillors where you can browse their voting records and soon be able to sort them based on different topics, the ones that are relevant to you. And then lastly, we have an actions page where you can find both past and upcoming items that are relevant to your interests, where you can sign up to alerts for those items, and in one click you can take action on them. And by that we mean you can sign up to speak at those items when they come up in council and submit a public comment. So that's the core of the features of Civic Dashboard. Now, lots of awesome work has happened since the last time we spoke here. Can't mention all of it, but lots of people have been doing amazing work. I want to focus, before I hand it off to Tina, on something that is newer to us, which is being more intentional about the way that we present ourselves. And so I'll start with the branding and visual work. There has been awesome work done by the folks in design at Civic Dashboard to take us from the brand that we launched with just because we need to launch, to something that is really intentional, that both like thinks about the users that we seek to serve, but also the principles that we seek to embody. And so we've realized that kind of the name Civic Dashboard is the only part of the brand that we're remotely attached to, and the rest of it can absolutely burn. And that's good, and it's better to change things earlier if you're going to change them for the long haul. So this means both like a visual redesign, but also a design system and consistent styles to follow. There's been incredible, I cannot stress this enough, incredible, really thoughtful design work that went into this. I hope we share these slides and we link out the Figma where that happened. Next is work that has been spearheaded by Anjali and by Richard around our brand like strategy and voice. Basically, this question is like, how do we want to sound? If Civic Dashboard were a person, who would it be? And it's working on aligning these kinds of like three disparate ways of thinking about things. One is just like internally, what are we? Two is our audience, who are we seeking to reach? And three is this like market analysis. What else exists that helps people find out like how their council works, and where do we fit into all that? How is it that we should sound? And so this coming together into a consistent brand voice. The reason we want to have a consistent brand voice, I'm actually going to skip ahead here, is that we want to get on Technology for Democracy's level and start being active on social media. We both want to be doing that proactively, which means like putting out consistent content on like, let's say, a weekly basis. We want to start using this tool called Buffer for it, which has like a really generous free tier, and we're excited to use that to post across like LinkedIn and Blue Sky, Mastodon, maybe Instagram. Still figuring out the content and regular posting piece of that. And then the other side of that is being reactive, so finding hot like Toronto politics discussion items and hopping on them. But we want to have that brand voice because we want to sound consistent even when multiple people are taking care of our website. Lastly, there's been really awesome partnerships work. So we basically started like reaching out to individual groups that like activist groups basically, and doing Civic Dashboard trainings. And again, grateful to Anjali and Vinay for leading that work. Handing over to Tina to talk about some really cool items categorization work that we've been doing.
Thank you. All right, so as Ilya mentioned, we have an actions view, and this is the spot where the user can see the agenda items and upcoming meetings via the feed. They can also scroll down through or use filter tools to identify the agenda items of interest, and then they can take action. However, the issue that we have is that the items of interest are hard to find. You can either do a search, just a text search. There are some, you'll see some items there, some pre-filters that are set up there, but most of this is based on tags that are put on by a manual process. So there's no lexicon. We've got 3,700 different tags to date. That list keeps growing. So the idea here is we want to add a category, like a list of categories, so that the tags can roll up. In other words, we have some standardization regardless of how these tags are put on. All right. So the progress to date, and I want to be super clear on this, I'm picking up someone else's work. I did not do this in the last 4 weeks, but I'm working on it. And so what we're doing is zero-shot learning to use the power of an LLM to create a context-aware tag classifier. So the levers that we have in zero-shot learning include the category description. So you don't just need to have a description like animals and wildlife, you know, a budget, City Hall. You can actually add descriptors. So you can tell a little story so it knows exactly what you mean. So it has context about the city government. We have model selection. We have a hypothesis template and more context. So explaining why, what the input is, why we're doing this activity. And we can do post-processing. So one of the easiest ways to do post-processing is to look at what the score is associated with being assigned to a category. Is the score high enough? Are there more sophisticated algorithms we should be using, right? So to date, what we have is we have a validated set or a validation set from which we can create a confusion matrix every time we run this. We have performance metrics, you know, recall, precision, F1, a variety of things that I can use to see how well we're doing. And then I can see, you know, a table of top confused categories. So for instance, if I've got particularly verbose on City Hall and it's pulling in too many items, I can see how that's happening and I can adjust. Okay, so here's some sample output. As you can see for each subject term, we have on the top there of that table, you have the different categories that have been rolled into. The one that you see a blue box around for arts and culture organizations, it has the high score of arts, culture, and events, as you would expect. So far, we are getting an accuracy rate about 65% on a set of data that are only annotated by myself. So I realize that there's a flaw in that I'm new to this and perhaps my categories could be improved or my descriptors could be improved. So this is where I'm looking to the team to help me out. Additional steps would be to determine if all the categories we have, which are there 31 of them, do we need them all? Perhaps that is just a little too much even for the users, never mind for the LLM. And we want to look at incorporating some smart post-processing. All right, this is us, places to find us. And come see us if you want to talk about it.
Well, thank you so much. Really are surrounded by a lot of talent tonight and every night. Okay, we are gonna skip the Q&A, which means we're gonna head to our project session earlier than usual.